In a newsroom, the collection of old notes and stories is called the Morgue, and we're spending the spooky season resurrecting some of the spooky stories from our own morgue. Today, we're going to talk about tombstones.
People have been leaving grave markers for thousands of years, and sometimes they turn up in surprising places. When crews were excavating the site of what is now the public market garage in Portland, work was stalled after they dug up an old headstone. A historian was called in as there was concern the site may have been an old burial ground.
It turns out back in the 1800s at the corner of Cumberland and Elm was a monument company. The stone was made for Mabel G. Smart. Records show Mabel was buried at Evergreen Cemetery in Portland, but in 1889, not 1886. The stone cutter made a mistake and he must have thrown that bad stone away. We've been sharing stories about ghosts and unknown creatures in the woods.
As Vivian Lee found out 19 years ago while walking through Evergreen Cemetery, real life is deadly enough.
With coffee cups and man's best friend in hand, dozens came to learn about the people who were part of Maine's seafaring heritage.
He was a pioneer in steamboat navigation in Maine.
A free tour of the nearly 150-year-old burial ground went way beyond the inscriptions on the headstones. Janet Morelli, a librarian at South Portland High School, told the stories of the men and their families who made their living from the sea. Captain Manson Hume's ship, the Fannie A. Bailey, ran aground off Cape May, New Jersey in 1883.
And as he was hoisting his wife, she was hanging from a rope, being hoisted onto the ship, another wave came and capsized the little boat and swept Manson Hume and his baby away while his wife was dangling there over the rough ocean. So he couldn't rescue the baby.
These are the graves of three brothers who followed in the footsteps of their father, Captain Richard Crockett, who sailed the West Indies.
Captain Richard Jr. lost overboard, 1851. He was 27. Charles J. fell from the masthead, 1852. He was 20. His wife was at home and losing. Who knows when she would hear that her son or her sons or her husband would be gone.
It's part of Portland, it's part of the history. I love history and interested in all the things that pertain to different things. So this made it real.
I'm going to point out behind you.
Thanks to Morelli and other volunteers, the stories from these graves are being kept alive for future generations.
Vivian Lee reporting in 2003. Maine's history with tombstones goes back to the 1600s and the Pemaquid colony.
But Maine became permanently linked with tombstones in 1965 when Aroostook County's Dick Curlis released a tombstone every mile.
It's a stretch of road up north in Maine that's never, ever, ever seen a smile. If they buried all the truckers lost in them woods, there'd be a tombstone